At this time, we'll ask Superintendent Doug Pennington to come forward and lead us in our prayer.
Let's pray. Loving God, we pause before this meeting begins, all the work and deliberation to be done, to first acknowledge you and to give you thanks, express to you our gratitude for the beauty of the creation that surrounds us, for this particular place, Lynn Haven, this city, its people, created in your image with whom we enjoy fellowship. Thank you for these things and so many others that we just don't have time to count. As this meeting progresses and as work of this city goes forward, we pray your guidance, your leadership for the good of this community, that both those who have been elected and those who have been hired to professionally do work on behalf of the city would have your direction, a special wisdom and discernment that comes from you. And we pray that both our leaders and our citizens would band together in these challenging times to do justice, love mercy, and to be humble. We ask now that all that's done here would be found pleasing in your sight. We pray in your holy name. Amen. I'll invite you to join with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for joining us for our commission meeting today. At this time, we will move on to public commentary. Please remember to address your comments to the chair and to limit your comments to 3 minutes, adhering to the sound of the bell. This is a time for citizens and residents to express issues or concerns that are not on the agenda. The commission will listen to all of your comments. You'll also notice in your packet for today that there is a public participation at the City of Lynn Haven Commission Meetings Guide. So please read through that and adhere to this guide. At this time, we open the floor for public commentary.
Christy McElroy, Port St. Joe, and a longtime resident also of Panama City, once upon a time. We begin these meetings with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. Both are hugely important. Faith is hugely important. Speaking freely is part of our democracy, and if you are silent, you consent. I can't consent to what Chief Ramey did to Ellen Fields. If it happened to anyone in another place, I couldn't consent. I'm going to focus on the facts. When Chief Ramey went before the press about Ellen Fields, it shows him wearing a Lynn Haven, Florida police shirt. All press cited that Ricky Ramey is the chief of police of Lynn Haven when he made his comments concerning Mrs. Fields. Chief Ramey only discussed a portion of the events concerning Ellen Fields. At great fanfare, Chief Ramey made his comments 1 week before the election. Now, Chief Ramey has never called out Michael White. He's never called out Arthur Cullen. He's never called out Adam Albritton. And he's never called out anyone associated with the ABCs of corruption and their connection to Lynn Haven. So who is really directing this? And who are the so-called winners in a political game? Maybe we should all be reading the indictment more closely. And maybe we should look more closely at Chief Ramey. There's one person that can step up in good faith in an unjust event Chief Ramey calls towards Mrs. Fields, and that's the city manager. And if she doesn't step up, then the commission can also step up. concerning her employment with the City of Lynn Haven. Democracy is indeed about freedom of speech. It is not about abuse of power and position. Ricky Ramey wouldn't have received the press 1 week before the election had he not been Lynn Haven's chief of police. If you are silent, you consent. And with all due respect, Mayor, you should have called out the dirty tricks that were going on in this political campaign. My greatest fear isn't for myself, it's for our democracy. And our law enforcement professionals deserve much better than what Chief Ramey offers in his uniform. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Additional commentary?
Jerry Parker, Rhett Place. I sent an email to everyone on this commission expressing my dismay over the commentary being moved to number 3. Let me tell you what that does on a citizen side. It restricts us. It actually goes against our First Amendment right of freedom of speech. You're not giving order. You're not giving guide. You're giving instruction. You're limiting what we can say and when we can say it. That's wrong. And if we have an afterthought, I don't think monolithically. If I have an afterthought, I can't say something later on, even if I have my time. That's wrong. You need to move public commentary back to where it was so that we can comment after every single person has made their comments in case we have a comment about it. It's wrong. And we should be able to ask questions to the commission like we used to and have them answered here. Y'all are forgetting, this is our meeting, not yours. It's for us, the people, not for you guys. Not for you guys. So I want you to keep that in mind. You need to change it back because we're not communist yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional commentary? Yes.
Arlene Harrison. I agree with that it seems like the new translucent commission is doing everything they can to keep us from commenting. And what you really eliminated was us being able to comment on anything the commissioners say, the mayor's report, the city manager's report, or the attorney's report, and also the financial report. It eliminates us from any comment on that. Moving on. Farmers markets. Now this, I thought I would see. I was so excited. I said, oh, then the Lynn Haven, they got it in so we can have a farmers market up here, but apparently not. I hope that that becomes something that'll happen, even though we're halfway through June now. People really loved the farmers market. I hope they will still be at Sheffield's Park. And I see daily our city workers cleaning up Highway 77. It looks really good. And I wanted to ask if they also clean up on private property along 77. I also wanted to ask about the fifth wheel here, this great big fifth wheel that we have suddenly acquired. I guess it belongs to the city since it's sitting on city property, and I'm wondering how much we paid for it and what its use is. And as we all know, there's problem hearing in this room. Now, when I'm standing up here at the podium and talking to you guys, you can hear me, but at the back of the of the auditorium here, we can't hear what's really going on and what people are saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public commentary?
Afternoon, Brian Dick, 3217 Country Club. As far as the fifth wheel goes, we've had that fifth wheel for probably a couple years. It was just relocated from over there to over here because of construction that's going to be going on. It was used as a 911 dispatch. So just as a private citizen, I kind of know that because I ask questions. As far as this whole thing with Miss Fields and you, Mayor, I could have put that out. I could have posted that, and somebody could have taken that post and reposted it. I think we need to grow up. What's done is done. Can't be done. You can't change it. You can't go back and rectify it. Whatever happened, happened. The voters voted. The residents spoke their mind. They gave their voice. I congratulated Miss Tinder. I didn't get to talk to her on the phone, but I congratulated Miss Tinder with the voicemail because that was the right thing to do. We have got to stop all this junior high stuff and get to building these buildings, getting our money under control, which I know, Ms. Gaynor, you're working really hard with your staff to do. As far as when to speak and when not to speak, if you give her your report, or if Ms. Tinder gives her report, and I don't have anything to say in rebut of it, it's called email. I can ask a question after the meeting, or I can stay after the meeting and ask a question. We are trying to nitpick this thing to death, and it's got to stop. Please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Rich Walker, Michigan Avenue. A couple of years ago, I wrote a note to the commissioners telling them about why are you stepping on us? Dealing with freedom of speech, conducting a meeting, Florida statutes, laws that tell you what the citizen can do. I'm getting a little tired of being told when I can do something. It's ridiculous to sit here. You want to be transparent, but you're telling us when to speak, how often to speak, and you're going to put a time clock on us like a golf game, a soccer game. You know, we're not children. There are laws to protect us too as citizens. There's a man in this audience right now who years ago summed it up. For 17 years, we watched. We brought things forth to these commissioners. We asked you for help. We were never given help. We were patted on the heads and sent home. I'm sick and tired of losing hair, of being patted on the head by this commission and sent home because you won't let us ask questions. If you do let us ask questions, you won't answer us. What is this about? What are you trying to do? Stifle freedom of speech? For example, once you acknowledge me, I can come up here and I can burn that flag. And you can't do a thing to me. You want that? You think that's right? I don't. We have freedom of speech. Men fought for that, women fought for that, children fought for that. They died for it. They died for that flag, for freedom of speech. That's number one. Why do you want to persist at stopping it? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any additional commentary? This time we move on to the mayor's report. With the mayor's report, in the office, I had regular briefings from the city manager Also was able to attend the first meeting of the Debt Review Committee. The city manager and the deputy finance director were superb in providing the current status of our debt and answering questions by committee members. Last week, our city manager, department heads, and city staff did a great job of preparing our city and citizens for Tropical Storm Claudette and keeping us updated on the storm. Thankfully, we did not have a direct impact from the storm. Earlier today, I completed my first ethics session. One big takeaway is that we may need to consider reviewing some of our policies, which is on the responsibilities of the commission. Also, I was able to be on a FEMA call with the city manager to get an update from FEMA. I commend Commissioner Aldridge and City Manager Gaynor for reestablishing the lines of direct communication with FEMA, which has expedited the releasing of funds. In the community, the city manager, director of community services, and myself had our first quarterly meeting with the seniors at the Senior Center. This discussion was fruitful and resolved the issues the seniors brought forth to the city manager. Also had the opportunity to speak with several residents regarding concerns for personal and public matters. I addressed these concerns with the city manager, and she gave me a prompt response and resolution. The communications department is assisting me with producing and publishing Minute with the Mayor on the city's Facebook page and soon to be YouTube. We'll be posting this on the YouTube page as well. We have received an abundance of positive feedback about the Minute with the Mayor. Also, Pastors United of Bay County held a unity service at Sheffield Park that included several songs and short sermons on the love of Jesus Christ. The event was well attended. I welcome the attendees as the mayor of Lynn Haven and thank them for choosing Lynn Haven as a location for this event. This event serves as an example of how individuals with varying opinions about life, culture, religion, and politics can come together for a common goal. As it relates to upcoming activities and events, I look forward to the strategic planning session that is being held this Thursday with the commissioners, city manager, department heads, and staff. This will be an all-day-long strategic planning session to discuss the 1, 3, 5, and 7-year strategic plan for Lynn Haven. I hope this will be a time of productive discussion and allow us as commissioners to become more cohesive in understanding our roles and responsibilities as public servants and supporters of the city manager and staff. I'm also looking forward to the grand opening of the Lynn Haven Bayou Park and Preserve on June the 29th. Also, our 4th of July celebration will be on July 3rd. I invite everyone to come out for the celebration. I'm also looking forward to the 3-on-3 back-to-school basketball tournament. There is free team registration for ages 7 to 16. The tournament is from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on July 31st at Kane Griffin Park. You can register online under the sports tab for our city page. Pastors United of Bay County will sponsor our book bags and school supply, and we need additional sponsors for team prizes and other items to be dispersed on that day. So please follow up with the communications department regarding sponsorship. In a previous commission meeting, a resident asked a question regarding our procedures for selecting a mayor pro tem. At that time, I followed up with our city attorney regarding those procedures. After speaking with the city attorney, he said that we did not have particular procedures in our codes or ordinances as it related to selecting a mayor pro tem. And so he suggested that we would just follow our traditional procedure, which was to have someone to make a motion and then for the commission to vote on that motion as it relates to selecting a mayor pro tem. With this being a vacancy, at this time we will entertain motion for a mayor pro tem.
I'd like to make a motion that we make Commissioner Aldridge the mayor pro tem. He's already run several meetings in the absence of Mayor Pro Tem Russell, and as far as what I saw was he can capably run a meeting, and that's what would have to happen in your absence, Mayor. So on that note, I would like to make the motion that we nominate Commissioner Aldridge.
All right, this has been a motion.
I'll second.
All right, motion and second.
What do you do?
At this time, city manager, you call the vote. Doesn't have to be discussion on this agenda, or this is not an agenda item, so it doesn't have to be discussion on this.
Well, since you are taking action, it's probably appropriate that you would open this to public comment.
Okay. Is there any discussion from the public? Yes, sir.
Rich Walker, Michigan Avenue. I was the one that brought this up. I thank the mayor for running with this. I think you're running in the wrong direction here. You should take a look at the way it was done in the past. In the past, it was brought up that the senior member would be the pro tem for a year. You didn't mention any time limit. You mentioned no portion of what it was all about. Mayor Pro Tem set up many years ago, Mr. Lynch, Kelly, and your attorney company, that it would be for 1 year, starting with the rotation from the senior on down, for 1 year. The reason for that was for exactly what you just went through, to allow each one of you to practice at being mayor. You're not born a mayor. The doctor didn't spank you on the behind and say, you're a mayor. You learn it. How can you learn it if you sit there and listen to somebody else? That was the way it was done for all the years. It was done fine. Appointing one mayor, pro tem, and agreeing on it, no term limit, doesn't give anybody another chance. And that person could be in there for 17 years, like Mayor Kelly. Thank you.
I think you following Robert Rules of Order that you did just a while ago, making the motion. Because when Mayor Petty was here, there was no organization about a Mayor Pro Tem. And now you're on the right track, doing the right thing. Thank you.
I'm Bob Schultz from Pennsylvania Avenue. Brandon, I agree with Mr. Miller. You cannot second motion according to Robert's Rule of Order, especially when it's you're going to be Mayor Pro Tem. You probably want to withdraw your motion because it's against Robert's Rule of Order, and some people could consider it a conflict. So withdraw it and somebody else second it.
Additional commentary?
Oh, hey. You need-
George Hines, 1603 Rhode Island Avenue. I have the charter in my hand. It does not state how you get a mayor pro tem. If you decide to elect the person that just got elected to mayor pro tem, they can. You don't practice to being a mayor until you become the mayor. Yes? I got them in my hand.
Let's take a 5-minute recess.
How you doing, sir? Good. President, the mayor position is in the charter, and it says that in his absence, it will be selected a person for mayor pro tem. It's not a practice position, mayor pro tem. So if you want to elect one now, you can, or you can wait until something happens to the mayor and select one. People in the charter, chapter, commissioners are the only one can select one. One of the commissioners will select themselves or be nominated by someone. Now, in the incident where you nominate someone, the person that you nominate cannot second the motion. So it's either going to have to die from a second or somebody else going to have to second that motion for it all to be functional by Robert's rule. Thank you.
Sorry, Robert's rules Robert's rule says that a member should not vote on a matter that has a financial benefit to that member. That is the only conflict of interest rule that's in Robert's Rules of Order. I mean, I do not believe that Commissioner Aldridge will receive any sort of financial benefit from serving as Mayor Pro Tem, so I do not see how he is prohibited from seconding a motion that would appoint him to that position. Let me just make that clear.
All right, thank you.
Mayor, if I may, I don't have a problem with whoever's Mayor Pro Tem. I expect you to be here. I think you're going to be here. So it'll hopefully be a job that nobody really ever has to do. Right. But I do tend to think that if it's it should be held for a year at a time. So everybody does get the chance to be Mayor Pro Tem. I don't have an issue with that. And I even think that it should be done in a way if Commissioner Aldridge starts out as Mayor Pro Tem, I think you should be the second, because then your terms will be up, and vice versa.
I just, Mr. Jenner, I personally I like being commissioner, and I don't aspire to be the Mayor Pro Tem, but if I had to be, I would, but I serve the city as a commissioner. That's all I want to do, Now, as far as my personal feelings on it are, but I understand what you're saying, and I mean, whatever we decide is fine. But I just know that, I mean, I don't particularly want to run a meeting. Would you want to run a meeting?
I would
if you had to.
I would if I had to, but
okay.
I will go get him from his home.
Right. Yeah. And I see that. I just wanted to make sure
whatever has to be done.
But and Commissioner Work, same thing. I don't know you that well, but I know that he's run meetings before, and that's the reason I made the motion, is that the man can run a meeting, and that's what it takes when our mayor's not here. So I just wanted you to know why, my train of thought. So, and as far as how long we do it or what, that's it's fine with me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I second the motion because otherwise I felt like we were going to be in gridlock. No one's going to get 3 votes at that point. So, I mean, why not move forward? And I agree with you. I don't ever anticipate, or whoever's in the Mayor Pro Tem seat should never anticipate being in that position. We have a mayor. We have a man that was elected here. He's going to be in this seat, my guess is, probably every single meeting for the next 2 years. But if you want to make it to where we switch it every 6 months, that's not my concern. I'm not worried about that.
I could rescind my order and say we'll do it by year if you like.
Yeah,
so
let's do that.
Yeah, so we'll do it in succession, like you just said. So I make the motion. First, I want to rescind my motion.
I rescind the second.
And I'd like to make my motion that we start with Commissioner Aldridge for a 1-year term, and then I guess it'll go to myself, and then it'll go from there. So,
City Attorney, would we need to do a resolution for this?
Well, I mean, it sounds like you guys are setting forth policies on how you're going to elect future mayors pro tem. So, what I would suggest you do is his motion is fine, and I think that you can go ahead and move forward with appointing with the vote as the motion has been stated. I think it is probably a good idea, just based on the conversation, to come back with a resolution that sets forth this procedure so everyone is on the same page when you make the following vote. So I don't think that there needs to be an amendment to the motion that's on the floor. But if, from the head nods that I'm seeing from the commission, we'll come back to you with a procedural resolution on future appointments.
And for the record, I did speak to the city attorney about what you all are discussing, and he recommended that we just keep it as standard, as opposed to trying to have a rotation in the sense of if we do a rotation, and then if that person is no longer the mayor or that person is no longer a commissioner, how does that affect the rotation? So, but we can proceed.
I'll just go back to my original motion then. So it's stated as an original motion, and you'll have to second again.
Do you agree?
So are we going to do a resolution? Is that what we're going to do?
Well,
I definitely feel like there should be a rotation. We've always, well, not always, I hate that phrase, we've always done it that way, but I know we have done it that way in the past. It's been a 1 year, and that way everybody on the commission got it, got a chance to do it.
According to the city attorney's research, he couldn't find any procedures on how it was done in the past.
He was at the meetings, I promise you, Mayor, he was there. Mr. Jackson was at every meeting, and he knows that it was swapped out. We had a couple incidents that were not very pleasant, and I think you were at some of those maybe, but it's up to the vote. I thought you were just saying we should write a resolution.
well, yeah, I mean, my suggestion for right now would be that Commissioner Perno's motion to appoint Commissioner Aldridge for a 1-year term be voted upon, and then we work on a resolution to set forth a procedure for future appointments. I think that would make it a little bit cleaner, because then we can go ahead and get the business
Let's
of
keep
the
it
day
clean.
done.
Yep.
I'd like to rescind my motion would be to make Commissioner Aldridge the Mayor Pro Tem for a 1-year term.
With the resolution being written.
Well, you could bring that up as your item on the next agenda. I mean,
Okay.
it's just putting it on the agenda as an ordinance. You understand what I'm saying? Like, attorney, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's saying vote on the 1-year term, then we can go back, if she wants to, put it on the agenda next time, saying we're going to do it in 1-year term cycles, et cetera, whatever she wants to come up with, and then we'd vote on it here.
Yes,
The
because.
next meeting.
Yes, sir, because I don't hear a lot of consensus on how the 5 of you, if the 5 of you are going, yes, we all want this exact thing, then I think I would understand the direction, the city manager would understand the direction as to what to bring you next. But I think it's probably better to separate the two issues and then have your appointment go forward to fill your vacancy based on Commissioner Perno's motion, and then move forward with it completely separately. Think about how you want to handle this in the future, because now you'll have 1 year to sort this issue out, assuming that Commissioner Aldridge lasts for 1 year, which we all would assume. That's just a suggestion. You guys can do it however you want.
Right. I think the resolution has to be kind of clear. Right now, I feel like we're in dirty dishwater here, and we're getting nowhere.
Exactly. So
I mean, I think it needs to be
can
clear how we want to handle it. We've had enough things go on here. We know people can disappear overnight. So,
True. We had the motion. Do you agree?
There's a motion on the
Second.
floor. Is
Want
there
to
a
make
second
motion?
for it?
There is no second yet. I was wanting to see if we could have some bilateral cooperation.
Can I say something? I recommend that we wait, do the resolution, make sure that we're all on the same page, because sometimes when these things happen, you rush into it, and then you go do the resolution, something changes, and it's not what you were expecting to happen. So I say, I don't know if we say table it or come up with a resolution for the next agenda item. That way it's cut clean and clear. That's my suggestion.
Well,
I would make a motion, we table it until we can all,
there's already a motion on the table.
are you moving to table his motion?
that's what I recommend. I like what Commissioner Warwick said. Let's wait and do it as a resolution.
I'll second it.
Well, hang on a second.
We still have a motion on the floor.
Yeah, we have a motion on the floor. How can you make that?
There's a motion on the floor to appoint Commissioner Aldridge for a 1-year term. That motion has not been seconded yet, correct?
Right, correct. We were
And there's a
discussing.
motion to table that motion. I mean, I think you need to sort out whether there's going to be a second on that motion before you move to table the pending motion. But you can call a vote on the motion to table if you like. I mean, but
Well, I'm going to have to, I guess, again, second Pat's motion, even though I was hoping that they would do it and cooperate with us together. And my reason for that is we can fix the ordinance in 2 weeks or whatever. We can work on it. We can work together as a group on it and put it together. But let's say, Lord forbid, that he, runs away, whatever. Just fill in the blank. Then we don't have a mayor pro tem at that point. So, I mean, a year, we were going to probably do it a year anyway. So if we're doing a year at a time, then let's do it, and then we can come together. We can do it however we want. I mean, it's...
Make it an agenda item on the...
Yeah, make it an agenda item like we do everything else that we
All agree
pass.
on that.
There's a motion and there's a second.
Correct, and by Robert's rules, a motion to table doesn't supersede a motion to take action, which is kind of where we're in this weird little limbo. So yeah, you would call a vote on that first.
All right, any further discussion from the commission? Any discussion from the public?
Jerry Parker, Rhett Place. I would suggest, what's the rush? What's the rush to do this? Why don't just put it on the agenda next time and then totally do it as one resolution? There's no reason to rush into putting someone on immediately. Are you anticipating a death or anything or an illness? Why rush this? Just do it next week and be done with it as one whole unit so that we have cohesiveness. Thank you.
Any additional public commentary? City manager, call the vote.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
No.
Commissioner Warwick,
Let me verify what we're voting on to table it, right?
No, sir, you are voting to appoint Commissioner Aldridge.
Okay, no.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes. Motion passed. I'm thankful for the support of our residents during my first month as mayor. I'm also thankful for the city manager, department heads, and staff that work hard to make Lynn Haven the best city in Bay County by fulfilling our mission of progressively enriching our community's quality of life by providing consistent and transparent customer service to our residents. This time we have our commission reports. Commissioner Aldridge, anything to report?
The only thing I'd like to say is, everyone, please keep Mr. Miller in your thoughts and prayers, and I know you are, but we can get heated here and people can get upset about things, but at the end of the day, we're people, and my heart goes out to him and his family, so I just want to put that out there. Just want to thank our staff. I agree, there was a comment made earlier about the staff cleaning up some of the sides of the roads and cleaning up a lot of the area. I'm thankful for all of them. I'm thankful for, want to call out Chris Lightfoot and Bobby. We've had a lot of rain, and yet I really haven't had any reports of any major flooding issues hit my inbox. So that's a positive thing. It shows some of the work they're doing. It's really starting to pay off, and I'm thankful for that. I'm also thankful for our seniors. We got to, I was supposed to come visit with them and bring them some pizzas Friday. I did bring the pizzas, or had someone bring the pizzas. I wound up getting caught up in another meeting. But I'm thankful for our senior center. And if you're a senior and you don't come to the Senior Activity Club activities, give it a shot. Every time I come over here, they're having a great time. They're laughing, smiling, playing cards, dominoes. They're different things. And then every now and then treats show up when one of us will bring some food around. So it's a great group, and I would encourage everyone to go. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Aldridge. Commissioner Parno?
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the TPO meeting last Wednesday, as well as Commissioner Aldridge. I have a workshop tomorrow with the St. Andrews Bay Estuary Program, and that's progressing nicely. They're about to entertain a director and get that program going, and I think it'll be very beneficial to our area. I helped a couple of citizens, and I'm looking forward to our strategic planning session on Thursday. And I too would like to echo Commissioner Aldridge's sentiments and thank all of our city employees and our department heads. And my heart's right now with Mr. Leon Miller and his family. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Parno. Commissioner Warwick?
Yes, so when I went door-to-door campaigning, I took a list of concerns that residents have given me, and I gave a quite a few of them. I gave them to the city manager, and she's actually pretty quickly sent me back the responses for them, and I posted on my Facebook page. And of course, at the beginning, a lot of those things were, or some of those things were already fixed, so I was happy with that. And I did go to the senior activities. I did come and visit the seniors this past Friday, and they that was the third time I've come. They are a fun group, and they don't bite. They might nibble, but they don't bite. So, but they are a fun group. And the other thing, I attended ethics training, my part 1 of 2 ethics training today, so that was fun. And I did get the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Obos. We spoke for about an hour and a half about some questions I had about running the meetings, legalities, ethics, and things like that. And it was a really good conversation. And I'm also looking forward to the STRAT meeting on Thursday. I'm really hoping to learn a lot from that. And so last thing I have is I did have a resident call. I won't go into detail, but I guess there's some history with this where they had problems with the neighbors and that. So I called the police chief, and it was all in his hands, and I'm sure it was all taken care of. So that was pretty much it for me.
Thank you. Commissioner Tender.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few things. I was on a very much needed vacation for most of this 2 weeks, and had to totally be retrained when I got back. But I have a few things that concern me, and I received a lot of calls when residents read the procedures and all of this kind of thing. The one thing that I personally have a problem with, because I think it really plays with our residents' safety, and that is having them state their address. If you want to know their name, I don't have a problem with that, but stating their address leaves them wide open if they should say something that some crazy person decided they didn't like the sounds of. That's just something I think is a safety issue. And I noticed in the procedures you said they would have to state their name and their address. That I do have kind of an issue with that, because I think we're putting their safety at risk. The other thing, Commissioner Perno just kind of touched on with TPO meetings and all that. I was wondering, and this, I'm just going to ask a question. Have we considered, or did we talk about earlier, I know you did with the Mill Bayou folks, are we talking about hiring, or did we talk about hiring a traffic engineer when school starts, not in the middle of summer?
Ms. Tender, I didn't want to, I talked to city manager, but as I went to DOT after the meeting and spoke to Mr. Polt, and the resurfacing that's going to happen at the Mill Bayou area, you know, when they resurface 77 from 77 to 231, and everybody thinks it's going to be the widening, but they're actually going to resurface it. Mm-hmm. And I asked him specifically, and I wanted to get a meeting with the city manager, and I asked him if there's a possibility we could do any fortification to that intersection at that time when they resurface, because they are adding a bike lane, so there will be a small amount of widening to the road. And he definitely agreed that we could get their attention and get them to start on that, and possibly fortify that intersection, or possibly think about maybe not a right in out of, maybe an actual way out, or a second light possibly. I don't know, but I opened the road to a dialogue with DOT, and I'm gonna request a meeting with our city manager so we can possibly send a letter to the director, Philip Gaynor, and see what they can do to address that. And they're more than willing to entertain something like that. So
right,
I never stop advocating for those people at those meetings. Trust me. Mm-hmm. So
I won't stop advocating for them either, because I think about that project
I also talked to Commissioner Dozier after the meeting, and he said that there's going to be a capacity test on 389 in that area, the Moed Highlands and the Andrews Plantation, and he he's hoping for it to fail, as well am I, so we can get some funding from DOT on that also. So
I just think with the new project that's going up there, I think they're all becoming very nervous and they have more concerns. So.
I do too.
Yeah.
With especially those apartments going on Hilltop, that's going to add a lot of people going out onto 390 there. You know, that whole corridor from all the way from 389, that 389 and 390 intersection, all the way to Cato Road blocks. It backs up almost every day. So there is a capacity issue, and they know that intersection's something needs to be addressed. So hopefully on the resurfacing, and I had a previous meeting I had talked to Bobby Baker, and he knew who he'd had to get up with to possibly talk about that. So we really want to push for that when they go to planning the resurfacing. So.
Well, I just hope we address it with a traffic engineer, or at least look into a traffic engineer. They're the specialists at it, and they might have an answer that we've not thought about. But anyway.
That's who they'll turn it over to.
Okay, and then I just had one question, and I know the city manager can answer this. The strategic planning meeting that we're having Thursday, that is open to the public, am I correct?
Correct. That will be open to the public. We've done this in the past, and it's been the commission talking among themselves, commissions talking with staff. The public has sat back and listened, but it is open to the public.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's the end of my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tender. Does the city manager have anything to report?
Yes, just a couple of things. Last commission meeting, we did adopt to name a block by after Willie Mae Dottie Stanley, and we did get up with the family, and we are going to put that sign up next Tuesday, Monday, the 28th at 10 a.m. And so you're all invited to come out. It'll be right on New York Avenue if you decide to come out and do that. Before I finish my report, I'm going to ask Kiki if she'll come up and do financial update.
Good evening.
I don't have any questions, but I want to thank you for getting back to me with those. I did have several questions on the checks that were written, and you answered them all, and I got all my answers, and thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. That's it? Okay. And then secondly, we do have the chief and the fire chief that are out there going to pick up the new ladder truck that the commission approved, I think almost 2 years ago now, and it took a year to get in, so it'll be here. And we'll have to do a lot of things with it and putting all of the gadgets on it, and then we will introduce it to the public. If you see the banners down 77 and Florida Avenue, it's just patriotic banners. We hope to continue to add some spice of life to our city, also to recognize July 4th. That'll be coming up. Farmers Market will begin in July, as it usually has always been. We had a pretty good farmers market last year, and this year, and it is on the website about farmers market beginning. One of our major problems with farmers market is that so many people do farmers markets that the vendors don't have time to always come to all of the markets. And so they have to pick and choose, and we get that. So we tried to find a time where some of the vendors could come out and be a part of this farmers market, but there are lots of farmers markets going on, but we are having that market again as we did last year. The right-of-way on 77 is where we clean. We don't clean on private property. And then I think the fifth wheel that someone asked about that actually belongs to the police department. It was something we had to purchase right after Hurricane Michael because we didn't have a dispatch and we didn't have anywhere for communications to be. And actually that amount was reimbursed back to us because that was an emergency measure that we needed right after Hurricane Michael. And I think that is all of my report. Mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. I know you're sitting in, but anything from you, City Attorney?
Yes, sir. Thank you. First off, the city has continued to be in negotiations as it relates to the city's storm claim with its insurance carrier. Jeff Carter with the Merlin Group continues to represent the city in those proceedings, and he has asked that the commission give him the authority, if needed, to file a lawsuit against the carrier if negotiations break down. Negotiations are still ongoing, but in order to, if they cross that bridge, he would like to go ahead and have the authority now if the need arises. And so I would ask the commission to entertain a motion to authorize the Merlin Group and Jeff Carter to sue the city's insurance carrier as it relates to their claim for Hurricane Michael damages if necessary.
So moved.
I would second that, and I also have a question.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion from the commission.
Yes, I just wanted to ask, just to refresh our memories, we had 23 million in insurance, is that correct?
That was what our
we've
insurance
only-
policy
In our
stated.
policy,
Yeah.
and we have only received,
A
is it
little-
like 9 or something like that?
It's
sticking in
almost 11 million, and then they've held back, I think, 2.9 million in depreciation, and so that's where we are.
Yeah, it sounds like we need to do something.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not even half of what we have coming.
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, we're spending a lot in legal fees too, but it's better to sue them, I guess, than to just sit back.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other discussion from the commission? Discussion from the public? All right, city manager, call the vote.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldrich,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes. Motion passed.
Thank you, Mayor. And then one other thing, I just wanted to address the comments related to your public comment period being on the beginning of your agenda. There were some comments that it was in violation of Florida statutes. There is a Florida statute on public comment for local governments. The placing of, no, and that statute does not govern public comment on non-agenda items or non-action items or ministerial items. So your placement of your public comment as number 3 versus number 7 does not implicate any of those statutes. I just want to make that clear.
Mayor,
Thank you.
can I say, all right, I guess you're still doing your report, I'll
Oh,
wait.
no, that was it. I'm all done.
Yeah, that is something too. I'm not sure, can you explain to the people why you wanted to switch it to number 3?
One of the reasons we switched it to number 3 is so that the city manager can do what she just did, which was respond to the questions that citizens had. I don't know if the citizens heard her response, that they had several questions that she was able to address. One of the things we do not want to do is get into a back and forth. I've never stated that citizens cannot ask questions. However, we're asking that commissioners refrain from responding to an immediate answer, because usually we're not equipped to answer those questions, and then it goes into a back and forth, which then creates a disorderly meeting. So if we have our public commentary at number 3, citizens can ask their questions as it was done today, and if there's a response that we can give immediately, then we can give that response, or if we can go follow up like I did on the Mayor Pro Tem question, then we can follow up on that and then bring that back as part of our report. So that's why we moved it to number 3, because once it moves to number 7, none of us are speaking at that time to actually address those answers, or to address those questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. At this time, we move on to our consent agenda. The commission will now consider consent agenda items 8 and 9. Item number 8, minutes for the 6/8/21 regular meeting minutes. Item number 9, approval to replace Linda Mings with Jerry Parker on the Charter Review Committee. Does the commission want to remove any of the items? If not, do we have motions to approve all of them?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and second. City manager, would you call the vote?
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Perno,
Yes.
Commissioner Aldrich,
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes. Moving on to old business. Public hearing. This will be the final reading, public hearing for ordinance number 1113, an ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida, amending the city's codes of ordinances regarding nuisances. City manager, would you please read the ordinance by title only?
An ordinance of the City of Lynn Haven, Florida regarding amending the city's code of ordinances regarding nuisances, amending definitions, creating new articles regarding noise nuisances, providing noise nuisances, providing for enforcement and jurisdiction, repealing provisions of ordinances in conflict, herewith providing for codification and reciting an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, it's been motion and second. Any discussion from the commission?
I did want to ask one question of Chief Ramey, because I think we discussed this one other time. The noise issue, and am I correct, Chief Ramey, on this, that you wanted to beef this up some because we were getting calls back repeatedly to the same places for parties and things of this nature, and you didn't have anything that you could actually do? Thank you.
That's correct.
All right. Any discussion from the public? Well, hold on, we'll need you to give to state your name, and also with this being a public hearing, I think we'll have to do oh, no, this is not. No, yeah, just come and state your name.
I am Betty Johnson Rouse, next door neighbor. That neighbor has changed residences, but I'm sure that I have on record more calls. And I was told that there was nothing that the officers could do until 10 o'clock, which means that noises could go on from 2 o'clock in the morning, all morning, all afternoon. And you could call all that you wanted, they would come and they would be nice. But there was nothing that they could do. So I am so glad to see that something has been done, and I would like to know exactly what has been done in our neighborhood concerning the noises, not in just one place, but in other places. And Sister Nell, I see, is back here, and she's trying to hide, but we've had some situations, and I would like to have an explanation of what exactly is the noise, the change for the noise nuisance in the community, as far as forgetting that there are other people that are in the community who are trying to study or read or meditate or just live. I'd like to know what time, is there a particular time that something can be done?
Yes, Chief Raymond, could you address that issue, please?
And I'm sure that he knows me also, because I did not mind calling. I'm a former English teacher, and there are certain things that go on that just cannot be tolerated. Thank you.
So the previous ordinance really, as she said, had no teeth. So what we did is mirrored the Panama City Beach and the Bay County ordinance. For each time of the day, there's a decibel reading. So I have a calibrated device to determine what the decibel reading is. So for every hour of the day, there is a decibel reading. So, and it now justifies a misdemeanor if you violate. There's no more, I'm sorry, we've been here 20 times. We'll try to start out with a verbal warning. We'll go to a notice to appear, which is a common thing we do. And then if that doesn't work, who's ever in charge of that situation, they'll be in the back of a patrol car.
I'm sorry, what was that last thing you said? I didn't hear you.
If we go there and we've noticed to appear them before and we go back again, then our next trip will be in the back of a patrol car.
Oh, okay. And they also have a $500 fine? Is that right?
That's what we're asking the judge to sentence, yes.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Any additional comment from the public? City Manager, if you'll call the vote.
Sure. Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes. This time we'll move on to new business. Item number 11, the replat of Parkview Townhomes Phase 1. Ms. Richards.
Good evening, everybody. So what we have here is the request for the replat for Parkview Townhomes Phase 1. The owner is DHIR Parkview Lynnhaven and also Parkview at Lynnhaven Owners Association, Inc. The applicant is James Finch. The agent is Ted Shoppy and also Brad Harris. The original parcel number for this property, because it has now been platted, was 11591-000-000. The location is 17th Street across from Kane Griffin Park. Parcel size is 5 acres and the land use is medium density residential, which allows for between 4 and 10 dwelling units per acre. The number of homes that are allowed within the plat are 50 townhomes. And again, this is a replat over an original plat that was approved initially in 2019. The plat amends a small section of the plat this replat, amends a small section of the plat in the southeast corner to enable connectivity between this development and Phase 2. This replat was approved, you'll probably remember, some of you, it was approved in 2020. So the original plat was approved in 2019. This replat of the very small section, which would allow connectivity with Parkview Townhomes Phase 2, which is being constructed next to it, was brought to you in 2020 twice. And you approved it twice, but both times, for various reasons, the plat was not recorded. There's a requirement that the plat is recorded within 30 days. The plat was not recorded within 30 days, and it was actually damaged before it could be recorded. So this is them. We now have a new commission, so there are different names that need to be on the plat. They're bringing it back again just as an administrative approval so that it can be approved, it can be re-signed, and they can get it recorded within the 30 days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. Does the commission have any comments? Any comments from the public? City Manager, if you'll call the vote.
Commissioner Aldridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Tender,
Yes.
Commissioner Parno,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Mayor Nelson.
Yes, motion passed.
Mr. Mayor, may I interrupt real quick? Just do not leave here without signing the plat. That's the one thing that I wanted to just remind you really quickly. Before you leave tonight, please sign the plat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to item number 12. And this item doesn't require approval or a motion tonight, really just discussion. And that was as it relates to commission workshops, dates, times, if there's something that we would like to consider so that we might be maybe more educated on the agenda items before we come to the commission meeting. So there's just something to open for discussion, to get some feedback from the commission on that.
Mayor, I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily agree with it, though. It feels like we'd be doing a commission meeting and then kind of doing another commission meeting. You know, everything that comes before us, we have in a packet, an agenda packet that comes every Friday. And then, of course, we always have time to speak with the city manager anytime we need to. We can call, email, whatever. And again, I understand where you're coming from on this. I just think it's kind of redundant, in my opinion. But that's just me. I'm one guy here. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, if it's something that you think is beneficial for a commission, I'm all for it. But I think we could probably knock it out maybe like 30 minutes before a meeting. You know, if we just hash over the agenda, and we might be able to get a lot of the public commentary out of the way too before the meeting. So because at a workshop it's open to the public, right? And I'm okay with that, but you know, I just don't know about the time, and I'm flexible on anything, but I really think to support your term. And if I have meetings with city manager and city attorney and city engineer, you know, when I have questions about agenda items and I want to get it, and you know, I feel like as with the new commissioner, you know, if you don't get the answers, you might have a little bit of time beforehand, and I'm okay. But I thought maybe that if we just timed it where it was a little bit before a meeting, you know, 30 minutes before a meeting, and we can get it out of the way, that's fine with me. So that's
because even on a meeting like today, for example, you know, I mean, we get together and there's 2 agenda items. So it's like, what is there to discuss, really? I mean, you know, we all come together and we have a meeting. Now, I understand, I agree, Pat, that's not a bad idea. Maybe do it 30 minutes before a meeting.
Get me here earlier.
That's true.
Commissioner Ward.
You know me, I like to do my research, right? So I went through 414 municipalities to see how they do it. And there are some municipalities that do this. And I contacted, I think it was about 5 of them on this. And some of them, you know, like Chipley does it, but they're a really small municipality. It's kind of hard to relate because there's not a whole lot of people from the public that come in. But there's one in Lake Wales, Florida. I had a long conversation with the city manager there, and I talked to him about it. And these are the benefits I saw before I talked to him, and he kind of confirmed this with me, is one, and I said this at the last meeting, you know, I'm not a fan of the Sunshine Law. I understand why it's there, but it's hard for us as commission to have a conversation because this is the only time we can be able to do it. And I think having what you're talking about, we can sit down and have an informal conversation about things and how we feel and things like that. The other thing I think it would be good for is information gathering. So let's say we want to spend a whole bunch of money on something, we got some questions on it, but the city, or maybe even us, we're not sure what the answer is. It gives us some time to research it, and then we can come back with the information and make an informed decision. And not only that, it gives us some time to think about it, because you know how many times you come in here and you got to think real quick, make a decision. Sometimes you go home, you think about it overnight, and then you start rethinking some things. And I think that's another benefit to it. So I have a vision how I'd like to see this work. This is just my opinion, but I'd like to see it at least a couple days before the commission meeting. That way it gives the city an opportunity, or us an opportunity, if we need to research something. And then just kind of have it as an informal roundtable. I think you had some experience with that. You might be able to add to it, but I think there's a lot of benefits to this. And I will say this, when I talked to the city manager at Lake Wales, he said at the beginning there were some bugs they had to figure out because this is new. This is going to be new for us. It's going to be a new culture. And so I'm sure when we first do this, it's going to be, we're going to hit some bumps in the road. And he goes, be prepared for it. And I just wanted to say that because I think this is a good thing. We're just going to have to probably fine tune it once we start doing it. So I'm all in favor for it. We just got to figure out when and how we want to do it.
All right. Any discussion, Commissioner Tender?
Oh, boy. I tend to agree. I tend to agree with him before the meeting, but what you just said makes perfect sense to me too.
Sure does. Yeah.
If we discuss things right before the meeting, I don't know. I feel like I'm breaking the Sunshine Law, you know, by just sitting here and discussing it, and then everybody will kind of have a feeling of how the other person, whether they agree or disagree. It's almost like we're lining up the votes before the meeting. I don't like that idea. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I know where he's coming from, and we've all been in his seat. It's brand new, and he's a numbers guy, so he goes back and checks everything.
I'll say this, and this is one of the commonalities I found. I don't know how popular it's going to be, but when cities do this, they don't have public commentary. And I think that will speed that up along so we can have a conversation, and then they'll have the opportunity to do public commentary during the regular commission meeting.
If we do it, I think,
so
I put this, if we do this, I think there should be some sort of time frame at least, though. I mean, in other words, if we decide we're going to have a workshop at whenever time, it don't matter what time it is, make it up, okay? And then we all get in here and we're basically having a commission meeting, and some of our commission meetings have gone 4 hours. You know what I mean? So then we're having a commission meeting, and then we come back 2 days later and we do it again for 4 hours. Are we not going to talk the second commission meeting because we hashed it out the first time we met, and we already know how we're going to vote? So we just say, okay, here's the item. We talked about it Thursday. Motion to approve.
So that's the feedback I got from the city manager from Lake Wales, is he said that when they get a lot of those conversations and they talk about it, typically when it gets to, not all the time, but most of the time, by the time it gets to the commission, it gets done pretty quickly. Unless there's some, difference of opinions, and of course there's conversations in that, but he says typically by the time it gets to the commission, it's done pretty quickly. So, but I think, and the reason I bring up the public commentary thing on the workshop is the way I understood it is when you guys used to do this before, they end up both being about the same length, but I think that was because they allowed public commentary during the workshop piece. And I think that might be the key piece to it.
And I will say this, some of the best suggestions I have received on issues, just different things, have been from the public. And I've had sit-downs that have lasted an hour or two because I was picking their mind. I mean, they had great suggestions. And every time I have done that with a resident, I want to smack myself for not having thought of it first. Because, I mean, they have such good ideas. So I wish we could all just sit around informally and talk about certain issues and things, so that, just like what you do, and so that we could all not break the sunshine law, but still take advantage of the brains we have out here.
And as I've seen it in our local municipalities, usually it's not set with a certain date or an ongoing standard of having it. As Commissioner Aldridge stated, today we only had 2 agenda items.
Right.
Usually it's to address specific agenda items. So again, just something for us to discuss, something for us to think about, nothing for us to necessarily make a decision on today.
But can I add something to that? But the other thing is too, is maybe this would be a good opportunity for us to talk about maybe adding another agenda item to the commission meeting afterwards, and things that might stir that up, you know what I mean? And we can discuss, well, maybe we want to add that to the agenda item to the commission meeting afterwards. There was something else. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, where you're talking about hearing feedback from the public, hopefully, if we do this, when we do the workshop, then hopefully that'll have a lot of residents that will call us and email us, and we get a lot of feedback that way. And I think hopefully that'll help keep that communication flow.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thank you for your feedback. Meeting adjourned.